It was just another humid summer evening at the Hanamura Martial Arts Dojo. The wooden floorboards gleamed from a fresh coat of polish, the faint scent of pine oil lingering in the air. Students in white gis were practicing their katas under the watchful eye of Sensei Ryu. In the corner, bent over a mop bucket, was the quiet janitor Kenji Sato. Kenji had been working at the dojo for over a year. He never participated in classes, never wore a gi, and never interfered with training. He simply cleaned the floors, the windows, the bathrooms, and always slipped away without drawing attention. The younger students barely noticed him. The older ones assumed he was just another working man trying to make ends meet. But that evening, something unusual stirred in the air. Takeda, the dojo's star pupil and a newly minted black belt, was feeling cocky after flawlessly executing his sparring match against another senior student. He was only 22, with a tall, athletic build and a smirk that rarely left his face. Everyone in the dojo knew Takeda's reputation, not just for skill, but for arrogance. As class wound down, Takeda tossed his towel over his shoulder and glanced toward the corner where Kenji was wringing out the mop. A mischievous grin spread across his face. Hey, old man, Takeda called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. Ever learn how to do more than clean floors? A few students chuckled nervously. Sensei Ryu frowned, but said nothing, perhaps curious to see where this was going. Kenji didn't look up. He simply kept mopping. Takeda stepped closer. Come on, don't be shy. Why don't we see what you've got? You're always watching us train. Let's spar. Kenji paused, the mop still in his hands. He finally looked up, his expression calm, almost indifferent. I'm not here to fight, he said quietly. His voice was low and even, without a hint of challenge. That's what I thought. Takeda laughed, turning to the others. Just a scared janitor. But then something in Kenji's eyes shifted. Not anger, but a strange, deep stillness. He set the mop aside, walked over to the small rack of spare GIs, and began untying his work apron. The room fell silent. You want to spar? Kenji asked softly. Fine, but on one condition, no holding back. Takeda's grin widened. Deal. Within minutes, Kenji stood barefoot on the mat, wearing a plain white GI. The way he tied his belt caught the eye of a few senior students. It was a subtle, practiced knot, the kind only seasoned martial artists used. Takeda either didn't notice or didn't care. Sensei Ryu stepped forward. This will be a friendly spar. First to 3 clean points wins. Begin when I say. They bowed to each other, though Takeda's bow was perfunctory. Kenji's was deep and respectful. Begin. Takeda lunged forward instantly, aiming a sharp jab toward Kenji's midsection. But before anyone could register what happened, Kenji wasn't there. He had stepped aside with barely a movement, his body flowing like water. Takeda stumbled past him. 1 point, Kenji-sensei Ryu announced. The dojo was silent. Takeda's face reddened. He came in faster this time, launching a combination of punches and a high roundhouse kick. But Kenji's defense was effortless. He deflected, sidestepped, and, with a small pivot, tapped Takeda's shoulder lightly with an open palm. Another point, asterisk. Now the room was buzzing with whispers. Who was this man? Takeda gritted his teeth. He decided to unleash everything. A spinning back kick, followed by a sweeping low strike. It was fast, powerful, and would have taken down almost anyone, but Kenji's eyes seemed to read the attack before it happened. He caught Takeda's leg mid-swing, set it down gently, and tapped him in the chest with 2 fingers. 3 points. Match over, Sensei Ryu declared. The silence was deafening. Takeda was breathing heavily, sweat pouring down his face. Kenji, on the other hand, looked as calm as when he'd been mopping the floor. Asterisk, want to go again? Takeda muttered, half in disbelief, half in frustration. Asterisk, Kenji shook his head. It's not about winning or losing. You've got skill, but no humility. That's why you lost before the match even started. Asterisk Sensei Ru stepped forward, bowing to Kenji. It's been a long time, Master Sato, he said. The entire dojo. Gasp. Asterisk Master. One of the students whispered. Asterisk Sensei Ru explained Kenji Sato was once the national champion in 3 different martial arts disciplines. He retired from competition over a decade ago. He could have run his own school, but he chose a quieter life. Asterisk all eyes turned to Kenji. He simply gave a small smile. Titles fade. What remains is how you live. Asterisk Takeda lowered his gaze, the cockiness gone. I'm sorry, he muttered. Asterisk Kenji patted his shoulder. Learn from it. Strength without respect is weakness. Asterisk from that day on, the quiet janitor was no longer invisible in the dojo. The younger students bowed extra deeply when passing him, and even Takeda sought his advice during training. But Kenji never bragged about what happened. He still cleaned the floors, still left quietly at the end of class. Asterisk, yet every once in a while, when a young fighter got too full of himself, the older students would exchange knowing looks and say, careful. Or Master Sato might put the mop down again.